Hey, everybody, welcome to Bootcamp. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. What is up, everybody? Welcome. Mauricio, Charles and Linda, what's up? David, Furman, is that how I say it? Welcome. Majestic Media Labs, Michael, hello. What up, Coochies? What up, Dorn? Hello from Pasadena, welcome. Right up the road. Hello from Texas, Ramiro. Smartpreneur, what is up? Jason, good to see you, sir. Lee, welcome. Joaquin, welcome. AT, welcome. Violet, welcome. Max, welcome. We were chatting yesterday, right, Max? Glad to see you here. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. All right, Christy, I like it. Ed O'Keefe, my man, how are you, sir? So good to see you. Looking good. Love it. Mike, awesome. Thank you for joining us. Elaine, welcome. Mario in Seattle, awesome. Eric, what's up? Awesome. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate you, my man. Harry, welcome. All right, good to see everybody. Thank you for joining me here for boot camp. We will get this show on the road. I believe that we have all our last minute folks getting taken care of. We're in here. I think my team is all on top of that. So awesome. Welcome, Alex, Kurt, Jonathan in Toronto. Very good. Will there be a replay link? Of course. Absolutely. In fact, it's the exact same link. These are live streamed to YouTube. So you just go to that YouTube link and it will be immediately available after this presentation. For those of you who are in Moguls, it will be in Moguls. We also have a separate membership area, a separate circle group area where this replay will live. All the materials will be the exact same in any place. So it doesn't matter where you go and where you find them. They will all be there, okay? Matthew in Texas, welcome. Awesome. Okay. Let's get this show on the road, everybody. It seems like all systems are go. You can hear me. You can see me. We've got recording happening. So let's do this thing. I'm excited for this one. I'm going to share with you a new framework, as I alluded to in one of my previous emails, that I think is going to help a lot of people. I know it's going to help a lot of people. And so I'm excited to share that with you. And I also am just excited to, I hope, bring some clarity for a lot of people that I hear repeatedly in my community that, you're starting to get your hands around the capabilities of Highlevel. You're starting to get your hands around why I should be selling systems instead of just tools. But now what the heck do I do with that from a service delivery perspective to deliver that system? And I think that clarity, anytime you're selling anything, clarity creates confidence, not just for you, but for the person that you're selling to. But when you as an entrepreneur have clarity, that's a big breakthrough, right? That's when you fully get behind everything that you're selling, and that changes the way that you come across to your prospects, and it makes everything easier. So I'm excited to hopefully, provide an additional degree of that clarity for you, because I know that will provide some liftoff in your business. So good evening from the UK. That's awesome. Welcome. I know we've got a good number of international folks here, which I love. So let's go ahead. Before I get into the presentation here, I want to give you just a little bit of a breakdown as to how this will go. We've got 2 days, roughly 2 hours each, and I like to try and make sure I answer all of your questions. But I also acknowledge, and we should all acknowledge before we start this, that this is not something that just, okay, we do 2 presentations and then boom, we're all done, we get it. So of course, I want to encourage you that once this is done, that you're using the community to ask questions that I can get in there and help you with, my team can help you with, and this new framework that I'm going to share with you on this presentation is going to get a lot of development here in the coming weeks, month in particular. We'll continue to get development after that, but really over the next 30 days or so, I'm going to be pushing on that a lot. So there'll be a lot of resources that you'll hear me talking about, doing videos about, adding to training programs, things like that. So there will be plenty of follow up and follow on to this. And like I said, I just encourage you to make sure that you're keeping your mind open to, okay, this is the start, not the finish. And you continue learning and continue asking questions so I can add more clarity and more resources as we go. Also want to say welcome to new folks. There's lots of, anytime we promote these boot camps, we get a lot of new people that come in that aren't necessarily familiar with my programs entirely. So, haven't been through high leverage agency, maybe haven't even been through the Services That Scale Foundations course. We're going to cover a decent amount of that in this presentation, those kind of foundational concepts, to make sure that we're all aligned in what we're thinking about here as we're going through this. But at the same time, just want to encourage you to make sure, in particular, that Foundation Services That Scale course, that you understand, hey, this is how Mike approaches all this stuff. I think that's really important to make sure that you're in agreement with how I approach this stuff. And then second, I encourage everybody who's working with Highlevel in particular to jump into the high leverage agency program. And really, that's where I think 95% of you should be, and 95% of your time and attention should stay is inside of that program. So welcome to the new folks. And again, just a little bit of context there as to some of the programs I think that you should put your time into to make sure that you're fully aware of how I approach things. During this, there will be periods of time where I'm going to stay pretty focused on the presentation, but there will also, like I said, I want to make sure I'm answering questions. And so I will make sure that you're clear on what I just covered, ask if you have any questions. So feel free to put things into the comments, and I will do my best to answer them what I feel like I can as we go along without getting too bogged down. The things that I feel like we can't address while we're going along without getting too bogged down, we'll address at the end. Okay. Replays, recordings, all that good stuff you'll get. Copy of the presentation you will get. There'll be some other resources that you'll get. So don't need to worry about any of that. It will all be coming your way. All right. On that note, let's go ahead and jump into it. Actually, one more just general structure here over these 2 days. Today, I'm going to, so this is about how to deliver systems as a service in Highlevel. It's about how to design that system and the service delivery around that. Okay. In order to get to the point where you can do that well and do that effectively, your sales and marketing needs to lead effectively to that system so that your prospect is positioned in their mind for what they're about to get and why they want it and why they need it and why they're investing in it. Okay, so our sales and marketing sets a very, very important tone for our service delivery in this business. We've got to have prospects and customers that are bought into what we're doing, or else what happens, I know many of you have experienced this already. I've seen the comments pretty recently in our group and on some of our videos and stuff where people said, hey, Mike, I'm selling it, but then people aren't using it. And that's because that buy-in has not been completed yet, right? If the customer isn't committed, then it doesn't matter what fancy things you set them up with, they're not actually going to use them and take advantage of them. And that's called activation. If you don't get your customers activated, you're going to lose your customers. They're not going to continue paying you if they aren't actually using and taking advantage of the system. So sales and marketing sets up our prospects so that by the time they become customers, they are bought in. And ideally, by the time they become customers, they are fully committed to what they are getting themselves into. Okay. So we are going to start this presentation talking about some of the fundamentals of services that scale. So we're on the same page. Then the sales and marketing approach, not the entire approach. We're not covering the whole sales and marketing strategy and tactics here, but just the key concepts that you need to make sure that you're aligned with to set up your service delivery successfully. Okay. And then we're going to get into the service delivery. And then tomorrow in particular, we will get into the details of how to deliver the system that you have developed for your customers. Okay. So that's kind of a broad overview of just kind of the organization of this. Let me pull up my presentation and we will get cruising. All right, let's see here. Okay, you guys see that? All right, perfect. So, service delivery system design boot camp. And I put a gentleman there delivering some boxes that I thought was appropriate just because I am amazed. I am constantly amazed when I look at the scale of the really big businesses that are out there, the ones that, we all know by name, and the things that they accomplish at scale. I mean, just the sheer volume of activity just boggles my mind when you think of some of these companies, whether it's an Amazon, some of those boxes getting delivered there on Amazon, or it looks like that gentleman works for UPS, maybe with the brown and the gold there. And it's delivering stuff from a variety of different companies. The systems that have to be in place to make that service delivery work are pretty darn mind-boggling, right? And when you consider again the scale of a company like a UPS, like a FedEx, like an Amazon, any of those types of businesses, and the way that they have to deliver with consistency around the world. Thank you, Kai. I appreciate you, man. That's awesome. Look at that one. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Kai. When you are considering what those businesses have to do, it's pretty shocking, but it's got an incredibly important lesson for all of us, right? In that if you want to achieve that kind of scale and profitability, or even if you don't want to achieve that kind of scale, but you'd like to have a really nice lifestyle business that's profitable and runs, it's got to be based off of systems. It's got to be based off of something that is thoughtfully designed so that each day is similar to the next. Okay. This is something that is counter to a lot of entrepreneurs and the way we operate. A lot of us as entrepreneurs, we're excited about the next thing and the next big idea, and we're somewhat distractible, right? We call it entrepreneurial ADD. It's actually one of the qualities that probably gets you to be an entrepreneur in the first place. It's also probably one of the things that limits most entrepreneurs in their ability to kind of get beyond just spinning their wheels, because we're always looking for that next thing. We're always looking for that dopamine hit, right? To me, and I think you would agree, I think most of you would agree, that the best businesses would be actually pretty boring on a day-to-day basis, right? We would develop a system that works for us to produce the results that we're looking for and know that we can get those results consistently. So it will then free us up to do the other things that we want to do. That this business was designed to serve us, not to have us serve the business every single day. And that is the difference between a McDonald's and the mom and pop down the street here that you think, man, they have way better food than McDonald's. Everybody should know about these guys. They would be huge. And yet they never become huge, right? It's the same story of mom and pops over and over again. They never become huge. And the reason why is they never develop the growth systems, the product delivery, the service delivery, the marketing, the sales systems that allow them to then scale. And so that business is always reliant on mom and pop and their magic that they make in the kitchen or whatever it is that they're doing to make their products and services. And that's why McDonald's with inferior food quality beats the pants off of, all the other restaurant businesses out there pretty much, is because they have a system and they nailed their system. They're absolute geniuses from a business perspective on that system front. So that is what we are trying to do with our service delivery. And the cool thing, the thing that excites me so much about this, I've been a systems nerd my entire career. Okay. I read the book, The E-Myth, I mean, I don't know, 20 years ago or whatever it was. And it struck me so clearly. It made so much sense to me, even before I had really done anything in business, that I was like, yeah, this makes sense. And when I started my IT services company, we were only like, I don't know, 6 months, 9 months, I don't know, a year into it, whatever it is. We were still this very small team. I mean, we just bootstrapped this thing, right? And I hired a Six Sigma process consultant who used to work at General Electric for like 30 years. If you don't know what Six Sigma is, it was their quality and process initiative inside of General Electric, where they took this approach of systems and processes and measurability and applied it across the entire company. And they trained up thousands of employees to be ninjas at this approach called Six Sigma. So I hired one of these guys when our company was tiny. I mean, tiny. I hired one of these guys and said, look, I'm building a business to build a business, not to build this fun little hobby for me. So I want us to start doing processes now. I want you to build the playbook for how to run this business. And that was in a business that is very similar to the agency business. It was very similar at the time. Okay, IT services was complex, right? I mean, there was people that were getting paid well into the six figures because they knew how to configure a Cisco router, right? And this stuff was complicated. And so when a business would call us up and say, hey, we need X and Y, Z things done for our computers and our network, it was like solving this complex problem. Very similar to the way most of the digital agency industry has worked for a long time, which is, hey, we need to grow our business. And so the agency comes along and tries to whip up some magic, some hocus pocus that's going to make this business grow and charge an arm and a leg for it because they're spending all of their time and talent to try and whip up this magic. Initially, that was what my IT services business was like, but I knew that that was not the way I wanted to run it. And so we invested in process and things that would make us scalable from day one so that we could change that business model. And we did. We were successful. And that's the foundation of everything that I teach at Services That Scale. And that is why I say I'm anti-agency. It's not the word agency that's the problem. It's that what most people associate with the agency business model is smart, talented people that you hire and they whip up some magic. Nobody should want to be in that business if you're selling to small businesses. It's a nightmare. Okay. If you're selling to huge businesses with huge budgets and you just love that creative problem solving, and so that's the kind of business that you want to be in, that's how you want to spend your time, awesome. Because you can get very well paid for it by big companies. But with small companies, they cannot pay you very well for it. It's a terrible business model. It's a business model that doesn't work. And what we're going to cover here in this bootcamp is all about getting you out of that. And that's what, Services That Scale is all about, not just this bootcamp. So we want to design services that scale. What does that mean? What are the qualities and criteria of scalable services? And again, this is all foundational stuff that leads up to, okay, so if this is all true, then here's the service delivery that we need to design. Okay. So one, we've got to have recurring revenue. Okay. If we're selling to small businesses, we absolutely 100% have to have recurring revenue or our business model doesn't work. We have to have a managed CAC. That stands for customer acquisition cost. That just means that we can't spend too much time or money to acquire customers because the customers just don't generate enough revenue to justify that. Okay. We have to have high enough gross margins. Okay. 65% or better gross margins. If you don't know what gross margins are, if I'm using any terminology in here that you're not completely well versed in, please make sure that you dive into any one of my core programs has a section on the math and the metrics of this business model. If you're going to be in business, you got to know your math. You got to know your metrics. Otherwise, you're not really in business. You're kind of flying by the seat of your pants. So gross margins 65% or better, 3-to-1 LTV to CAC. LTV stands for lifetime value. So in other words, the lifetime value of your customer has to be at least, at a bare minimum, 3 times your cost to acquire a customer. So if you spend $5,000 to acquire a customer, it has to be at least $15,000 in value that you expect to get from that customer. That's a bare minimum ratio. That's a bare minimum ratio that you want. And it should be high leverage. In particular, for those of us who are trying to build lifestyle businesses, which I think is probably almost everybody here, we're not necessarily trying to build the great big public thing. We're trying to build a nice business that's going to, take care of us, take care of our families, allow us to do some nice things in life, have some freedom, and contribute to our communities and to the lives of our customers, right? So we want to take advantage of automation wherever possible. That makes all of these things true, right? That helps make all of these things true if we can take advantage of automation. It also just makes our lives easier. Assets and access over agency. We'll talk more about that here in a bit. But what that means is that assets and access. Sorry here, guys. Let me just put do not disturb here on my. So assets and access means that we want to sell people access to assets to help them with their business rather than selling our agency services. Okay, rather than selling our time and talent, we would much rather have, the Highlevel software platform, and we sell them access to the platform, right? We would rather have amazing campaigns that we've created for them, and we sell them access to those campaigns rather than doing custom work to create those campaigns and then just handing them over to them and walking away, because now we have to start over with another custom project for another business. So assets and access. And then one-to-many service delivery, right? We've got to have the ability to service a lot of customers at once. We can't just be spending our time in meetings with one customer and then another meeting with another customer and doing individual work for each one, or else we'll go broke, again, servicing small businesses, okay? So these are critical criteria. My favorite model, one of my favorite 2 models in the world of providing marketing services to small businesses is a marketing systems provider. I say one of my 2 favorite models because my other favorite model is the media model. Okay, the media model is a proven model, right? You sell advertising for eyeballs. I love that model as well. But the MSP, or marketing systems provider, is the one that most clearly lends itself to what we're doing with Highlevel. It's also the easiest one to generate long-term recurring revenue. And it's also the one that will have the most impact on your customers. So I love this model. I think it's the core model of this industry. And so what is a marketing systems provider? A business or organization established to provide marketing systems as a service. So you will hear that's my definition of SaaS, systems as a service, instead of software as a service. And that is an important distinction, okay? So what is a system then? A system is an organized and coordinated method, a set of components working together as a whole for a common purpose, okay? So we talked about this earlier. In these businesses that achieve the scale and profitability that they're doing these complex services, delivering packages accurately to addresses around the world on time, things like that. That is a set of coordinated things working together, right, to achieve that purpose. I got to get this package from here to there on time, and I've got to do it at a certain cost to make my business work. And everything in that business is organized around that. All the steps are measured, right, to make sure that our system is actually accomplishing what we want to accomplish. But it's not reinventing the wheel each day. It's not coming up with some new creative thing every day. You will come up with creative things to enhance the system. And over time, that system will get better and better and better. But you're not just coming up with creative one-off things to do for customers each day. That's the agency business, which is the model that we're working to get away from. The nice thing is that in the small business space, this is the big audience. Okay, this is the big audience that we should be targeting. Okay. And many of you have already seen this, but we've got tools customers, agency customers, and then in between system customers. Tools customers are the ones that say that, are just like, yeah, just give me my software. I'll do all this marketing stuff. Okay. And there's a percentage of businesses that, yeah, that's the case, right? That they're marketers. So they want to do their marketing. That's not the majority of small businesses. Okay. It's a tiny percentage. And then there's agency customers. Agency customers, the way that I define that, one, they have the money to actually pay you for your time and talent. And two, they already have some marketing systems in place. And now what they're looking for is to pay for somebody's creative time and talent to design something that is going to be unique to them, something that's going to differentiate them in the marketplace from anybody else who has access to similar systems, right? And that could be that they're investing heavily in branding. That could be investing heavily in creative campaign. That could be that they want somebody to design some specific system to market their business that will be proprietary to them, and they're willing and able to pay for that. Okay, willing and able to pay for that is the critical piece that's missing for most small businesses. Okay, and then that puts the majority of the market in the middle. This is the systems buyer. The systems buyer says, hey, look, I don't have time for any of this stuff. I'm a plumber. I'm a rooftop repair guy. I'm a, XYZ. I'm a pizza guy. I'm a, whatever, right? The far majority of businesses got into business because they have some particular craft that their business is based on, that is the thing that they want to do. That is the thing that attracted them to that business in the first place. I think I make the best pizza in the world, and I've seen Domino's Pizza. They make a ton of money, and I think their pizza is junk. So I want to get into the pizza business, and I want to make a ton of money because I have the best pizza in the world. So they have the best pizza in the world, maybe, but they don't have the systems in place to allow them to run their business effectively so that they can get to the point where they can actually beat Domino's, right? Even if they're just beating Domino's in their local neighborhood. Okay. So the MSP model, then, if you take that tool, systems, and agency, it's interesting because those are three different types of buyers. Here is actually the MSP model in terms of what you're delivering. And it still has all three of those components. It's got the SaaS tools that are critical to making the systems work. Remember, we have to incorporate automation and access to assets, powerful assets that will help these businesses. That's tools. Tools play an incredibly important part of that. Systems then are what differentiate us from just those typical tools providers, right? And it's what allows us to sell at higher price points. And it's what allows us to create a more complete delivery of the goal that we're trying to accomplish for our customers. Because again, keep in mind, our customers are saying, hey, look, I don't want to do all this marketing stuff. I don't want to have to come up with funnels and landing pages and think through the 7 steps of a good follow-up campaign. That's not what I do. It's not what I study. I study how to make pizza. Okay. So we have to build on top of those tools. Just dropping tools in their lap is not enough. And that's a critical thing for everybody here to understand. If we just drop those tools in the typical small business's lap and say, here, you've got everything that you need, that would be like dropping some construction tools in front of me and saying, here you go, Mike, build a house. You got everything that you need. I can't build a damn house. It doesn't matter what tools you lay in front of me. There will be no house built. Okay. So we don't want to do that to our small business customers either by just dropping tools in their lap. And then agency, that tiny little piece on the top of the pyramid that honestly, you may or may not deliver any agency services. Okay. In some markets, I think you probably may want to be really competitive. You may really want to just to differentiate yourself in the marketplace, add, top line revenue to what you're doing. But there are lots of businesses where you really don't have to provide any agency services on top. But even if you do, it should be the cherry on top. It should not be the foundation of your business model. Okay. The foundation of your business model should be coming from these SaaS tools and systems that we we'll use to incorporate the far majority of our business revenue and margin. Okay. And I think that this is something that it would look like. Okay. If I were to go out and see 100 different high level systems as a service agencies, I would expect that it would break down something like this. Of course, this is not, anything certain, but somewhere around 20% of their revenue would come from they're just selling tools. And I just told you earlier, don't sell tools. So why would somebody have 20% of their revenue coming from just selling tools? Well, what will happen over time? I put up a case study video recently on YouTube. Maybe you had a chance to watch that. If you're selling these systems as a service, you are going to get customers over time that are going to cancel some of your services. They're going to say, hey, look, we don't need all of that anymore, Mike. But they're going to stick on the tools because you've got them in there using tools, putting in their customer data. They've got leads coming into the system. They're using the AI chatbot to converse with prospects. They're not just going to give up those tools. So you will get some customers along the way that will cancel these services, but will stick with your tools. So that's okay. In fact, that's better than okay, because these are just pure margin customers for you. This is going to be very, very, very profitable. Okay. 70% of your revenue, roughly, though, will come from these entire systems customers. And then 10% of your revenue, roughly, something like that, somewhere between 10 and 20, depending on the agency or MSP, is going to come from some sort of more traditional agency services. I like to consider that just bonus money. When I say that, what I mean is, like, at my IT service business, I only did custom projects. So that would be kind of the agency work of the IT space. I only did that work for customers that were paying us for our monthly system services. If they were not a monthly recurring revenue customer for us, and they came to us and said, hey, we want to pay you $75,000 to set up a network at our new law firm office, we would say no. We would say, we're not going to do this unless you sign up for this first. Why in the world would we do that? Because we knew our business model. We knew our metrics. We knew that this was all of the profit of our business. And this, while it added $75,000 to our top line, was really just vanity. It had such terrible margins and was such a terrible distraction to our team. And so we only did this if it secured us this. Okay. And that's the way that you all should look at it as well. When somebody comes along and wants that custom website and they say, oh, we'll pay you $25,000 for a custom website, and your eyes light up and you think, oh man, $25,000. And then you spend the next 6 months delivering that stupid website and realizing that you weren't selling that entire time. You weren't marketing. You weren't taking care of new customers. And now you're starting over from scratch 6 months later with a website that didn't really make you any money. And now you have no pipeline and you didn't build up your business. You will fully understand why our policy is that we don't do custom work for people who are not paying us recurring revenue first. Okay. So the 4 A's of this model, and when I say SaaS, that is systems as a service. Okay, that's what I'm referring to here. I know it gets confusing between software and systems. I am referring to systems. Okay. So the 4 A's of this systems as a service model, we already talked about. Access. Okay. You are not selling your time and talent. You are not selling a custom thing that you create and then hand over to them and say, you now own that custom thing. Okay. You are selling access to your system. We have created the super duper, real estate marketing system. And to access that system, it is $497 a month. Okay. That is what you are selling. Access to the system. Okay. You are selling access to assets. That system is made up of individual components that come together to achieve a goal, right? That's what a system is. Well, what are those individual components? Campaigns, workflows, content that you create for them, the software, right? All of those things come together to create the complete real estate marketing domination system, right? It's not just the software. It's all of these things together. So you are creating assets that go on top of just the tools. And then you are leveraging automation to deliver that ongoing value of this system on a monthly basis, right? You're leveraging the capabilities of Highlevel to ensure that prospects are coming into their funnel, they're getting followed up with, that newsletters are going out the door, that responses are being made to inquiries by leveraging the capabilities and assets of the system. Okay. And then activities. The fourth A is activities. I stress activities, the word activities, because there are all kinds of things that you can do on a regular basis for your customers that are activities that are not results oriented. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that agencies make in this business, is that they get all results oriented. I'm going to promise you, your business is going to grow by X amount. I'm going to promise you X number of new customers, right? And if you can do that because you've developed a system that will produce that result, it will, then sure, you can make that promise. And that's a really strong promise. And obviously is going to get you lots of attention in the marketplace. And that's awesome. But the problem is lots of people have been sold on selling those results when they don't really have a system yet. They then go out and try and make some magic happen. And that's a terrible model, because when you don't get those results, your customers cancel on you in a few months, right? And that's why there's so many lead generation agencies that have terrible customer turnover for a variety of reasons, but that's one of them. But there are all kinds of activities that every small business needs done that you can help them with, right? So examples of activities could be just helping them with the execution of the system. Hey, we're going to make sure that your social post gets scheduled so that you actually post on social media. We're going to make sure that your newsletter goes out the door each week. We'll put the newsletter together for you and we'll send it. We're going to make sure that the leads get followed up with and put into your sales pipeline correctly. Okay, these are all things that you could do for your customers to help them with the execution of the system. Okay, you could also include inactivities. Again, there may be some agencies, some more traditional agency services you want to do for them. It could be, again, just management of the system for them. So some businesses in particular, it doesn't matter what you do. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Like, you can put together a perfect system for them, but they're still the dudes running around on the Motorola flip phone, and they're not actually going to engage in using the technology. You may just manage the system for them. Okay, this is what I did with IT service providers a lot. IT service providers, so many of them just absolutely hated marketing. They thought it was beneath them. And so we would essentially just run the system for them. So you could do that for them. This could include training, support, leadership activities, right? Holding the monthly or the annual conference for their industry and training them on business strategies and skills that are going to help them grow, right? So that's leadership that you can provide to your customers. So these are the 4 A's of the business model. Nowhere in here, other than, again, maybe that 10% cherry on top, are we doing any sort of custom services for our customers. They should all be system that we are selling access to, and then it could be helping them to run that system as well. Okay, so just to be clear, where do agency services fit into all this? You could do some of these services. Okay, I would want you to make them as structured and systematic and consistent as possible. But let's say that you do need to do some of these things to be competitive in the market that you're selling to, which is definitely possible. The point is that all these green arrows indicate, but everything should lead to this system. Okay. Again, if you go watch that case study video that I just did on Facebook the other day, that was, what we were talking about, right? We were talking about that the gentleman that I did the case study with, was really good at lead generation for his customers. But what he had not done is position his services as a system for their success. And that lead generation was just the front entry point to that system. Once he positions it that way, Now he's going to be selling customers on recurring revenue of the system, not just generating leads. And that's going to completely change his business model. So again, everything that you're selling, everything that you're doing for customers should be 100% aligned in getting them into the system. Okay? Any questions on any of that before we keep cruising forward? I know that's a review for many of you. For many of you that are new to me, though, important foundational stuff and how we operate around here. If you have any questions, just put them in there and I will get to them. Otherwise, I'm going to keep on cruising, okay? So core principles of doing all this, I've already covered much of this already, so we'll go quickly, but from agency or consultant to marketing systems provider, fully acknowledging and understanding that professional services are a trap when you're selling to small businesses, which means that you should not be selling your time, talent, or specific results. You should be selling access, assets, automation, and activities, our 4 A's, okay? From clients to customers, this is where you will really get your life back. When you sell access to a system, okay, you shouldn't be doing a bunch of one-off phone calls with people. You shouldn't be giving out your cell phone number. You shouldn't have clients calling you in the middle of the night because they want to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. You should look at the way that I operate. Okay. And I'm not saying that I'm doing this perfectly in this business. But with services that scale, right? You guys there's nobody calling me and, yelling at me about X, Y, and Z. There's nobody, calling me, period. If you message me on anything directly, you're not going to get a response from me unless it's one of the systems that I've told you guys is right to message me on, right? And that's in Circle, and that's in Help It Services that scale. And the reason why is because I've set up systems for my business. I have a team that helps me with managing those things so it doesn't consume my life. If I just responded to messages everywhere that people wanted to message me, I would literally just be, doing nothing but responding to messages all day. So you don't want clients. You don't want those people that feel like, hey, I've got you because I'm paying you so much that you have to jump through hoops for me, right? You want customers. My dream business, very much like the business I have, and this is the business that I want for each of you, is that you've got a bunch of customers who are paying you a small enough amount that they don't have any right to control your life. And so you have your time, you have your flexibility. That doesn't mean that you're not delivering really good value to them. It just means that it's not the kind of relationship where they get to just take over. Okay. In order to accomplish that, you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined enough that when somebody wants to pay you to do something, you first ask, and this is a question I've probably repeated with my employees 10,000 times, is it scalable? Such and such customer said they want us to do this and they'll pay us X amount for it. And I'll say, is it scalable? And we'll stop and we'll do the exercise. If this is something that enough of our customers want, and we can figure out a way to package it up, productize it, do it repeatedly with the margins that we're looking for, then maybe that's an enhancement that we want to add to our systems, right? No custom work, only new systems. So if that's the case, then we will strategically consider that. Maybe we should add this to our system. But if that's not the case, if this is just custom work, no more jumping through hoops. No doing things just because people say that they'll pay you to do things. Okay? You sell to customers that will pay for your system, and that's it. Okay? From more is more to less is more. Okay? The best systems, typically you're subtracting things. You're not adding things. Adding things gets complex. So we actually want to subtract what we're doing for customers. This is one of the most painful lessons I learned as an entrepreneur, especially when I sold my first business, was that the biggest, most scalable companies do less for their customers. Okay, they usually have just a couple of things that they do well and they do with tremendous scale, and that's it. They don't bend over backwards for their customers, right? Look at the cable company or your cell phone, service provider, or a UPS or something like that, right? They're delivering something that's really important. It's really high value for you. You want your phone service. You want it to work all the time. You want to be connected to the internet, all that good stuff. You pay a modest sum for that. I mean, when you consider the value of what it is, you're really not paying that much. But none of us are going to go parading around talking about how incredible the customer service is from AT&T or Verizon or from the cable company, or when something goes wrong, right? Because they're not going to bend over backwards for you. They've got a super scalable process. They've priced it right so that, again, customers can't just hold their feet to the fire, really, and they just do it at scale. That's much, much more of the kind of business that we're looking for. Again, this is a mindset from the customer is always right to the right customer is always right, right? It's not that you should just do anything and bend over backwards for customers. You should put boundaries around what you will do for your customers. And then if a customer is outside of those boundaries consistently, then they shouldn't be a customer. Okay. The right customer is always right. Okay. I'll keep on going because I know this is pretty foundational stuff, but I will answer any questions. I see some coming in, so I will get back to those. Okay. Core strategies to then execute this. Make it easy to buy from you. Okay. We talked about how important it is that we don't have too slow or too high cost of a sales process. We've got to make it easy to buy from us. We want to eliminate almost every barrier and cost from your sales process. This is why when people ask, Mike, why are the prices $297, $497, $697 when I see somebody else saying that you can charge up to $15,000 a month to small businesses for X, Y, and Z, or whatever, because that's a big, long, expensive sales process, right? No business is going to spend that much money with you. No small business is going to spend that much money with you unless they've gotten really close to you and they really know what they're getting into and they have a high degree of confidence and they've explored all the different angles and options, right? So by keeping our prices low enough, there's these magic numbers when it comes to small businesses that they will pull out a credit card and pay for it, right? We don't have to go through a lengthy sales process. We don't have to have a bunch of meetings with them. So we want to make those prices very clear. That's why I've always just published prices right on my website, just to make it super easy for people to come and make a decision. I don't want to have to sit down with a whole ton of meetings with you to, get you to make a decision to buy from me. Productize in order to make it easy. And also to create those boundaries that we're looking for, we want to productize our services. So instead of saying we do, marketing agency work, we say we design new websites for chiropractors. And here's how much it is for a new website. And here's what you get. And here's what's not included. We do lead generation for chiropractors. Here's what's included. Here's how much it costs. Here's what you don't get, right? That's a product. It's got specific boundaries, specific names, specific price points, specific deliverable. Makes it much easier for a customer to buy from you when they can understand, oh, here's what I'm getting and not getting, versus when you just say, I'm a marketing agency. What does that mean? I mean, the very first conversation I have to have with you is, well, what does that mean? What do you do? Does that mean you design websites? No, I don't design websites. So what do you do? I do SEO. Well, what the heck is SEO? Right? And so long, complicated, expensive sales process. Price to sell fast. As I just said, this is incredibly important with small businesses because they don't have a lot of money and they are scrutinizing those expenses every month. They want to know that they can see ROI in what you're doing for them, or they are going to cancel. Only sell recurring revenue packages. This is the most important financial decision you will make possibly in your life as an entrepreneur dealing with small businesses. Only sell recurring revenue packages. Burn the boats. Don't argue with me on this from this day forward. Don't argue with me on this and you will thank me. Okay? How do you sell more recurring revenue? Anybody know the answer to that? How do you sell more recurring revenue? What's the number one thing that you can do to sell more recurring revenue? The answer is to only sell recurring revenue. It's amazing how all of a sudden selling recurring revenue becomes much easier when all you do is sell recurring revenue. Okay, that's the model. Just sell recurring revenue. Okay. And then in this particular model, it's incredibly important. We want to get them using the tools. Okay. If any of you have ever tried to transition away from a CRM platform after you've been using it for a couple of years, it is incredibly difficult. It's time consuming. It's a total pain in the neck, right? Because there's so much value tied up in that tool that then taking all that information out and transitioning into a new tool and making sure it's set up properly, making sure all the data migrates properly, it's a total pain in the neck. You're talking about like months of work to do that right. We want to get our customers using the tools that we're giving them because we deliver a ton of value that way, and it's hard to leave. It's hard for them to get away from us. Once we're delivering that value, once their data is in there and they're using those tools, it is going to take something very compelling to get them to cancel that service and use somebody else. So strategically, we want them in there using that software. All of this adds up to what should be one clear goal for all of us as possible. Get as many customers on a recurring revenue system as possible. And again, this all leads up to how we're designing our service delivery, because we want our service delivery to be all about getting people onto the recurring revenue system. Just like I told you before, if I'm selling lead gen, it's because lead gen feeds leads into the system. That is what I'm really selling. If I'm selling a new website, it's because a website is a critical part of a complete marketing system for a small business. It's the system that I'm selling. We want to get as many customers onto that recurring revenue system as possible. That is our goal. That should be your obsession, okay, in this business. All right. Questions? Let me see here. Oops, sorry. How much of the automation of the system is dependent on people versus workflows? Well, I would say if it's dependent on people, it's not automation. So we want to make, as much of this as possible based on workflows. Okay. So the far majority of the value of what you're offering to your customers should be from the tools, from the assets, the campaigns, things like that you've built on top of the tools, and then the automation that is making that stuff work. Okay, the human side of it should be a very small percentage of what you're doing. Okay. Yeah, cool. If we are selling something as simple as missed call text back to landscapers for a very affordable monthly fee, how does something this simple plug into a system? It's a great question. So let me try and answer that here briefly for you, but then we will get into that in much more detail here over the next, remainder of this this boot camp. But missed call text back, okay, is essentially one piece. If I were selling an overall marketing system to you, okay, I would sell to you that phone calls are a critical part of a landscaping business's success, right? You've got to get phone calls, you got to answer those phone calls, you got to respond to phone calls, because that's a major way that customers do business with you or initiate doing business with you. But let's look at all of the other things that need to be in place for a complete marketing system for landscapers. Even though a lot of your business is coming in from phone calls, where are they finding that phone number? Well, they're finding it on a website. Okay. Do you have a website that's designed properly to show up in the search engines? Is it mobile optimized so that when people pull it up on their phone, it loads quickly? When it loads, is the phone number easy to find? Can I click it to call? When I call and you don't pick up, do I get a response? That's the missed call text back. Okay. So we just covered a lot of other components of an overall system. Okay. What if I decide to message you on social media? Can I message you on social media? If I do, will you ever see it and respond to me? right? All of those things, where can I find reviews of customers that have worked with you in the past that will say nice things about your other landscaping jobs? Do you have a system in place to collect those reviews and publish them? Okay. All of those things can be a part of an overall marketing system for landscapers. Now, David said something important here. He said MCTB, Miss Call Text Back, is the system. And he's right. That's an example of a marketing system. So I'm not saying that you have to, do all of those things for your customers. But if you wanted my perspective on how missed call text back would fit into an overall system, that's what I would tell you is that yes, missed call text back is very important, incredibly valuable for landscapers. But there's a lot more that a landscaping business should have in place if they're going to be a really successful landscaping business, right? And so the way that I would teach you to sell this is you sell missed call text back because it's a single value proposition, which means it's easier to understand. And then you upsell them on the complete system, right? Once you've brought them in the door for that one piece, you explain to them, hey, this is a piece, a very critical piece of our overall growth marketing system for landscapers. Here are the other components of this. Okay. So that's how I would teach you to approach it. And again, it's not to say that you have to offer all of those things to landscapers. You may want to pick and choose which things you want to offer. And we'll get into that here later on. Okay. David says, I have been telling prospects that I do lead gen. What should I now be telling them? David, you should tell them that you have a lead generation system for X, for whatever industry it is that you're selling to. Okay. So what is the difference? Let's clarify again the difference. David doing lead gen means that David probably, for each new customer, sits down and fires up ads in their ad account and says, yeah, I'm managing the ads in your ad account to generate leads for you. Maybe he sets them up each with a landing page, right? But it's a landing page that business owns. Maybe that's the full extent of what he offers is, hey, I create campaigns, I launch campaigns, and they go to a landing page. Okay. Versus if I was selling you a lead generation system, I would say, David, what's really important here is not just that we're generating leads. Okay. The reality is most customers that just sign up for advertising to generate leads find those campaigns to be successful, not because the campaigns didn't generate leads, but because those small businesses didn't have the follow-up systems in place to make sure that they could actually capitalize on the leads that were generated. Okay. You may have seen, I just posted a video recently where I said Groupon did what they were supposed to do. It was the small businesses that screwed up. Groupon generated a flood of inbound leads for small businesses, and the small businesses got all upset and thought it was a big ripoff. Why? Because they didn't have any follow-up systems to follow up with those new Groupon customers to make sure that they turn them into long-term business, right? So David, I would sell a system. I would say, so the first thing that we do is we make sure that we have a proper foundation in place to capture those leads and follow up with those leads. So that's going to be landing pages. That's going to make sure that we're capturing all of the inbound communication from phone calls, from opt-ins, from social, all into this one conversations area. So you're going to be able to see and respond to everybody that comes in. We're going to set up some AI features to make sure that even if you're busy doing whatever you're doing, that we're going to follow up with those leads immediately, because speed to lead, right? Speed to follow up with leads is one of the most critical factors in converting those leads. So we've got to make sure that response is nearly automatic. Okay. And then we're going to put all of these leads into your CRM system where they will have a 7-step follow-up campaign that will happen automatically to give you the best chance at converting. Then we're going to turn on our best practice ad campaigns that we've created to start filling that system with leads. Okay. So I'm never going to just sell the leads. Hey, I can launch some ads for you and get leads coming. I am going to sell the system. Okay. So that's the difference, David. And it's a very, 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 very important difference. And when you get it, it will completely change your business. Okay. That is the difference. AT Williams, do you have suggested language we should be using on our website for better positioning in the client's mind? Yes, AT, I do. That is in the R4 sales system content. And we'll talk about some of that in this boot camp. Okay. What was after productized before selling only recurring revenue packages? I don't know. You just go back and watch the replay. you can scroll along until you get to where you want to review. Okay. What about the help desk stuff? Ugh, the help desk stuff. Oh, okay. I think you mean for like how to use the tools and stuff. I mean, one, you've got to provide that support. One way is to actually have a help desk, so have a ticketing system that people can send tickets to you. Two, do office hours calls like this every week, right? Or like I do those office hours calls like once a week. Say, hey, everybody, we've got a 1 hour time slot on Wednesdays from 1 to 2 p.m. where we do open office hours. So if you have any questions on how to use the software or anything like that, you can come here and get a hold of one of our experts and we'll walk you through. And then, of course, you've got to add the training videos and things like that in there to help people understand how to use your system. And over time, you're just going to get better at that. And also over time, Highlevel is going to continue to get easier to use. Okay. System is the ability to acquire, convert, deliver, and manage the processes. There you go. David, thank you, Elaine. Appreciate it. Price to sell fast comes after productize. Thank you. Okay, let's jump back into the presentation. Keep on cruising here. So this is a super important question. AT Williams says, do you have suggested language we should be using on our website for better positioning in the client's mind? Okay. This is so stinking critical because it is our marketing and how we market and how we sell and the messages that we use when we market and sell that sets us up for success in the actual transition from prospect to customer and having that customer being committed to what we're talking about here, right? So I would propose to you, I mean, how many of you came to me through my YouTube channel, right? And the answer is, I know every day it's a bunch, okay? The number of times that I hear every week from somebody saying, Mike, I just binge watched 30 of your YouTube videos and now I'm here signing up. I get it. I believe it. I'm going, right? And so what happened there? I used content. I used education to deliver a handful of key insights that did the selling for me. Okay. By the time somebody consumed that content, they had sold themselves. And now I am the natural next step. If they believe that concept, if they believe those concepts, and I'm the one who shared those concepts with them, then the natural next step is, hey, I should go work with this Mike guy. Okay. It eliminates 95% of any sales conversations I have to have or anything like that. It's only a couple times a month that I have to get onto a sales conversation with anybody because they just come and sign up. And it's a lot of factors that make them just come and sign up. It's that they got the marketing message and that the price points were what they are. Again, all those factors that we already covered make them go, oh yeah, I get it. And I can just sign up for this, right? So all those things come into play, but marketing and sales set the stage for success in our service delivery. So yes, the question of, do we have messages that we've got to use? Yes, absolutely. So here are the core components of the sales system. And for those of you who are Moguls members, high leverage agency members, but all that leads back to Moguls. If you're Moguls members, you get access to all the previous boot camps. Okay. And so this is from a previous boot camp, Mastering Your SaaS Sales Pitch. So that complete boot camp is available to you and the resources from that boot camp are available to you. So when you want to get more into depth on, hey, what's the sales pitch? What's the messaging? Again, we're not going to go completely into that in this boot camp. So make sure that you can go after those go back to those boot camps. Okay. Mastering the SaaS sales pitch. First component, you should have a key insight framework. Okay. What is the key insight framework? That is my systems as a service message, right? That I put out into the marketplace. That is the what that I want people to understand. Hey, this is the thing that you need to be successful in business. You need to understand that there is a better model, and that model is called systems as a service, not agency, not software as a service. It's systems as a service. That key insight is getting delivered by me so that mentally I get that credit for, oh, that Mike guy turned me on to this. Okay. That positions me as whatever you want to call it, an expert, a trusted advisor, a guide, any of those words. That's put me in that position in the mind of my prospects where they go, yeah, that message made sense to me. That guy is the one who taught me about that message. That's the insight. That's the aha moment that we want to create with our marketing, because that pulls people to us and gets them, sold before they're ever even in the sales transaction with us. Okay. The next thing that you want to have is a magic journey. Okay. The magic journey is the thing that you show them how, right? So if I believe what you just said about this whole systems thing, Mike, okay, how do I do it? And so that's the journey that you're taking them through. If you go into my high leverage agency and you go into the welcome section of the high leverage agency, there is going to be a roadmap in there where I share with you, here's the roadmap that you should go on to set up your business. Okay. And there is the signature system. The signature system is the thing, right? It is your unique thing that you are using to deliver, right? To deliver this value that you're talking about to your customer. So your signature system, the reason why it's called signature is that it's meant to be like unique to you, your unique signature thing. Okay. In this business, honestly, the thing that makes it unique can be as simple as just how you're marketing it and naming it, right? Versus being necessarily any different in real meaningful ways than the next person on the street, right? We have tens of thousands of agencies using Highlevel. That's why we can't just sell Highlevel. You've got to package this in a little bit different way so that it's your unique thing. It can be based on Highlevel, but you've got to add value on top of that. Okay. And a lot of that is positioning and marketing. And also, though, some of the specific things that you're going to do with your assets that make you the preferred choice to work with. They go, yeah, I want that system. Okay. And that's like my high leverage agency, the R4 sales system, things like that. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to deliver this key insight. Okay. The idea that clearly communicates the what, that is the solution to their problems, right? This comes from a book called Insight Selling. I know these guys, Mike Schultz and John Doerr, very well. They helped me design the sales approach at my first business. And they have done, these guys do amazing amounts of research, very specific research. And what they found in their research was that sales winners educate with new ideas and perspectives almost 3 times more often than second place finishers. And it makes total sense, right? If you think about, if you have the problem of, I am trying to grow my business, I'm trying to become more profitable, right? There is this knowledge or information that you feel like I'm missing. If I knew the secret to X, I would be able to grow my business. If I knew the secret to Y, I would be able to run a more profitable business. What is that secret? And even if you're not consciously thinking that, that's kind of what's going on in the back of your mind. And that when you come across that marketing from somebody who speaks to you clearly and says, this is the thing that you're missing, and they can justify it, that light bulb moment is the insight. That's the key insight. When you go, aha, now I want to buy from that person, right? The very obvious example in this industry, right, or related to this industry that did this so amazingly well is Russell Brunson with ClickFunnels, right? He sold the concept of the funnel. Okay? It wasn't brand new. Funnels were already in existence for years before Russell packaged them up and said, this is the key insight. But what did he do? He took that message out and away and then backed it up with his signature system, ClickFunnels, to make you go, oh yeah, I need a funnel. And if I had a funnel, I could turn on revenue like never before. Now, gosh, how do I create these funnels? Oh, Russell's got the training and the software that I just take that training and software and create my funnel. Boom. Now I'm off to the races. It's a simple, combination there of that key insight and then backing it up with the signature system that allowed Russell Brunson to grow so explosively. So key insights are these huge breakthroughs in being able to sell to people because, again, it's this aha moment that once they've had that aha moment, they go, yes, that is what I need. Okay. And it's actually backed up. So this is a totally different sales methodology and book. There's the Challenger, what's it called? The Challenger Sale or something like that. I can't remember is the name of the book. But anyway, they've got all kinds of research and training around this. Again, what they've found is that the best performing salespeople are called challengers. Okay. They're the ones that challenge their prospects with new ideas. They're the ones that make them confront these realities about their business or the way they're operating their business that maybe honestly doesn't even feel real good to be challenged that way at first. But it's kind of like having that coach, right? That will give you the kick in the pants when you need it and be honest with you and tell you what you may not want to hear, but it's what you need to hear. Those are actually the best salespeople. Those are the ones that earn the most respect from their prospects because they get the sense of, hey, this isn't somebody just trying to sell me, make a buck. They're actually telling me the hard things I need to hear, right? At risk of maybe irritating me, but they're doing it anyway. Versus, we all know that schmoozer salesperson where you're just like, dude, all you're doing is schmoozing me, right? That's the fastest way as a salesperson to lose my respect. If you're just a schmoozer and you're, oh, Mike, let's go have lunches and go golfing and all that type of stuff. I'm like, dude, you just lost me entirely, right? I would much rather have the person that can point out, hey, here's what you're doing wrong. Here's what you need to do better, right? Here's the thing you need to understand that you don't currently understand. And I would argue most good entrepreneurs, this is the way they think, right? The top entrepreneurs I know surround themselves with people who challenge them, right? They pay money, huge money to go to masterminds to have people challenge them. That's what they want. They want to get better. So the top salespeople are the ones that push to make sure that their prospect is getting the insights that they need. They're getting those key insights. So the great thing about the world that we live in today is that all this can be done at incredible scale with marketing, right? This used to be a much more laborious task of meeting with people and doing presentations one-on-one and all that type of stuff. Or it meant that you had to go to conferences and speak up on stage, and that's still a great way to do it. But you can do just like what I'm doing and put videos up on YouTube or publish the blog posts and promote those blog posts or whatever it is so that you are putting out the messages that are going to attract with those key insights. In this business, the key insight is systems. Okay, I mentioned the E-Myth earlier, and I saw, who was it? Doran said that he had to reread the E-Myth 4 times before he finally got it. If you are not intimately familiar with this book, please go buy a copy of it today. Hop on Amazon right now and order your copy. Costs you $13 or whatever it is. And you should read this, underline it, highlight it, dog ear it as many times as necessary to make sure that it just gets soaked into your bones as a small business owner and entrepreneur. Okay? Because he very, very clearly identifies the problem that most small businesses face. And that can be summed up with, they don't have the systems to run their business. So they are doing their craft. I'm making the best pizza in the world, but I don't have the systems to support me to allow me to actually run the business in a way that supports me building the best pizzas. Okay. And so they never get out of the scramble of just being overly busy, underpaid, not able to scale. That is the result of the far majority of small businesses. This is why the far majority of small businesses are, never make $1 million in sales. And a huge percentage of them go out of business after just a few years. This is why. And it's not the only reason why, but it's the biggest reason why. So the E-Myth says organize around business functions, not people. Build systems within each business function. Let systems run the business and people run the systems. People come and go, but the systems remain constant. So we are not reliant on the talent of individual people because we have a system, we have a playbook, we have a recipe, right? And now I just need people to follow the recipe, to operate the system. That's what this book is all about. So that is what we are designing for our customers. And the incredible thing about the world that we live in right now is we have this tool that is being built for us that gives us the ability to implement the right systems for our customers with automation and at price points that are absolutely incredible, that we can literally change the lives of these small businesses. Because keep in mind, when I started my IT service business, something like Highlevel did not exist. So I had to go out and hire a Six Sigma General Electric consultant to put together this playbook this thick. It was like a phone book of documented processes that he put in place, where then when I hired somebody for a certain job, I would say, there's the documented playbook. Follow that for your job. What a pain in the ass, right? It's no wonder that most small businesses never get to that point. Like I had to be a masochist to get to that point that I was even willing to invest in doing that. But now we can use technology to put these systems in place so that these small businesses can get this key insight of the E-Myth and go, yes, that's what I want. I want a business that runs on time using systems so that things are repeatable and scalable, so that I can then be free to make the best damn pizza in the world, or take a vacation and not have to sweat it because the systems are running the business. I don't have to worry so much if Billy Bob decides to come to work 30 minutes late or, whatever it is, because the business is a business now of systems, not just relying on any one individual's talent. So the E-Myth, when you ask about what are the messages that are the key messages, that's the key message. And honestly, you could flip through that book and peel 1,000 quotes out of that book. You could just order copies of this book and send it to all of your small business customers or prospects and make that your marketing message. Okay. But this is the core message. That is the key insight. Okay. Let me go back here. I just lost business to a big company selling a restaurant online marketing and ordering system, including a custom website with video shoot, SEO, automated social posting, right? Automated review responses and more, all for $549 a month. My package was focused on reviews, ordering, and email text outreach to start at $997, $497 for the software, $500 to manage it for them. So now I wonder if I have to overload customers or do the work for them to get the business. No, in fact, I would argue you lost the business because you were trying to do too much, and so you priced it high enough, too high. They got it for $549 a month. You were essentially promising the same thing, but that you would run it for them, and that's what the 500 added to bring your price to $997. So you doubled the price, you doubled the cost to them because you said, I'm going to do the work for them. But what these guys said is, don't think that we need somebody to do the work for us. Give us the system. So in every niche that you go into, there will be exactly how you position this to be competitive versus your competitors. And that's why I still think it's very valuable to settle on a niche and understand that niche really well, or maybe a couple of them or whatever it is, so that you know exactly how to position yourselves against the competitors that are out there. But yeah, this is absolutely a case of, it looks like you could line up right next to them on features and stuff. Looks like maybe you weren't planning on doing the video shoot and some of this other stuff for them. But what you should do is you should sit down and look at, well, how do I want to match up point by point against those guys? Where do I want to differentiate? Where do I not want to differentiate? And what's my price point going to be? But it sounds like you're really close. You just got to spend a little bit more time understanding that niche to know who you're competing against. Okay. Do I have my proposed offering sheet handy? Yes, I do, Ed. I will get that to you here shortly. Actually, we're going to go through that in this presentation. 2 markets: coaches, experts, niche leaders. Dennis, I know how to approach Dennis. Yes, you've always been super strong in that market. My question for the coaches, experts is, since Go High Level has become more well-known, is it easier to sell as an affiliate, or is it okay to white label? You could definitely white label, Ed. I mean, knowing you as I do, you could do either one and be very successful at it. It's really, to some extent, it's a little bit 2 different customers, right? In that market, the difference between the 2 customers is probably much less pronounced than the difference between regular small businesses. But you could just sell high level because you know a lot of people in the industry, and you understand them, that could take high level and use it almost as their own agency platform tool, that type of thing. Versus if you're selling to somebody who's just like a coach, hey, I'm a hypnotherapist, and that's my craft. Okay. And again, this is the difference, Ed. If that hypnotherapist, that's their craft, they're not in the coaching sales business or anything like that. It's their craft to be a hypnotherapist. And I just want the marketing systems to support me to be able to do my craft. Then you should sell that customer in a white label situation and help put all the coaching mechanics and systems in place that you know very well in place for them through that white label version. Okay. The only reason they would need a direct Go High Level account is if they were planning on setting up sub accounts for their customers. Okay. But they would only need to do that if they were selling marketing systems themselves. Okay. So that's the big difference. Look how much automation ClickFunnels has. Neil Patel is also very good at this. Yeah, Neil Patel is good at a lot of stuff. And for onboarding, do you create a form and Go High Level with questions relevant to the system you're going to provide? Absolutely. Yeah, no, do it and go high level, Jason, because then you can have all the follow-up automatically triggered based on, did they fill in that form or not? Right? They fill in the form. Now you can move them to the next workflow, that type of thing. Right? They know how to do the work of the business, but know how to run the business that does the work. There you go. Response was spot on. I didn't know what they were offering until afterwards. Yeah. And that, I mean, you win some, you lose some. You're going to figure that out as you're out there in the marketplace for sure. My targets are service business owners in my local area. I'm trying to stay away from e-commerce and e-learning websites. Do you think that niche is too broad? No, I don't think that's too broad at all. I will show you, AT, in this boot camp how you can approach any business and sell and be confident that you can set up systems for them. And then it's just a matter of how much customizing that you're going to do, right? So let me just clarify that. If I'm selling to roofers and landscapers, much of how they operate their business is exactly the same. It really is, right? It's like they need to contact us. They're probably going to call us. We need to send them an estimate, a proposal. They sign the proposal. We send them an invoice. We collect payment. We come out and do the work, blah, blah. We get a review. Like the majority of the systems of that business between roofers and landscapers is going to be exactly the same from a marketing perspective. So really, all that's going to change from a marketing perspective, again, the roofer's estimator system that they use to properly estimate the roofing costs for the insurance company, that's a totally different system. That's not your job. Okay, that could be different than what the landscaper is going to use for an estimating system. Okay, but that's not your business. From a marketing perspective, it's almost exactly the same, other than the content. So if you sold a roofer one day and a landscaper the next, you're going to have to do some updates of the content. If you sold a dentist one day and a landscaper the next, now we got some significant differences, and we've got the differences in the content. Okay, so now the customization leap that we have to do is just that much bigger. If I sell landscapers every day, the customization is tiny, because now we're talking about, oh, you want different colors on your website, different pictures on your website. I need to make sure the right logo's there, the right phone number's there, the name of the business is updated, but almost everything else is exactly the same as the next landscaper that I set up. So it's just degrees of customization. But using Highlevel, using all the templates that are available to you and things like that, honestly, you can set up a business in just about any niche relatively quickly once you understand this stuff. Like, I have zero hesitation personally. If you said to me, Mike, you need to set up a dentist tomorrow and a landscaper the next day, okay. I don't have any problem with that. I understand I've got to create landscaper content for one and dental content for the other, but otherwise I get it. So the reason why I'm confident in that is because what I'll share with you here in the rest of this presentation in terms of the framework. Okay. I've been transparent, even though a white label. Thanks, bro. Yeah, you bet. Keith, I'm about to sign up the Highlevel's $290 package for you, but also want as turnkey a solution as possible. Assuming you don't offer this, who do you suggest I use to provide the best onboarding? I think I would recommend, Keith, that you look into Extendly. Okay, I think that you would look. I think that you would look into Extendly. Okay, for the onboarding services, they specifically offer onboarding services for agencies when they're selling to their customers. When the customer comes on board and you want somebody to help onboard them into Highlevel, they specifically offer that. Okay, there you go. All right. So systems then are the key insight. So again, we're following this trail. Systems are the key message that we use to sell and to attract and to move our prospect from being aware to us to being, in with us, right? Like, oh man, I've heard that guy's messages on systems and it makes sense to me. And, so I'm moving down that spectrum of being more bought in, more indoctrinated to this message. And that's the way that we want them before they buy to us. So you have heard of, or most of you have heard of, my R4 sales system. Okay, my R4 was my key insight framework. Okay, this is the framework that I've used for years and years, and hundreds of agencies have used now to explain that there are these 4 key marketing systems that every small business should have and optimize to create growth. Right? Reputation. The reputation is the most important thing that your business has. How do we proactively build and protect that reputation? Resell. We need to make sure that every new prospect and customer that you bring in through your marketing efforts and through your service and products that you deliver, that we have a way to maximize their lifetime value. So we need to have a strategic approach to resell them on additional products and services so that they become those repeat customers that are so valuable for us. Then reach. How do we reach as many new prospects and customers as we can to bring them into our business? And then finally, retarget. Okay, we need to stay in front of people. We know in today's world that just putting one marketing campaign out there isn't enough. People are bombarded with messages. They're distracted. They forget about us. We have to stay in front of them. Okay, so this is the R4 framework that I have taught, I've been teaching, and that is going to get an update on this call. Okay, this is the new framework. But before I go into that new framework, so as I told you then, the second part of your sales thing is the magic journey. Okay, so we got them sold on the key insight. Yeah, Mike, I need this systems thing that you're talking about. I'm picking up what you're laying down. Now, how do you get me from here to there? My business is a big mess right now. How do you get me from here to there? Okay. The magic journey is the step-by-step path that you're taking them down to demonstrate how to go from where they are to where they want to be. Okay. You're leading them. And so, again, those of you who are in my R4, in my high level program, this is the journey that we sell to small businesses when we're explaining to them. Here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to do an audit of what you currently have so we can determine critical gaps in your marketing systems. We just told you, you need these marketing systems. Let's look for the gaps. Maybe you already have some of these things done. You're doing them nicely. Maybe you have gaps in all 4 of those systems. We're going to do a quick look to determine that so that we know here are the holes that we need to fill. Then we're going to do this surge. The surge is where we're going to fill those holes. Hey, you got a website that was designed 14 years ago. Code is all dusty, crusty, broken. Google hates it. We got to get you a new website. You're not collecting reviews anywhere. Your social media is all out of date, inconsistent. The information is inconsistent on all these different places. We've got to get all these things updated. So the surge is the upfront that we're going to do to fill those holes for the customer. Okay. And then you will be on our system. So essentially what we're doing in this surge is we are setting you up on the system. Now you will be on the super duper real estate marketing system. That's the thing that you'll be paying us monthly for. That gives you access to the tools, gives you access to the proven campaigns, gives you access to all the follow-up content that we're putting in place, gives you access to our team to support you in running that marketing system at your business on a day-to-day basis. So that now that we make sure that every prospect that finds you has a way to contact you, gets followed up with, gets in your opportunity pipeline, so your salespeople know what to do with it, yada, yada. Okay? That system is now in place. Accelerate is, and this is depending on the scope of your services and the relationship you want to have with your customers. But if you said, hey, I want to be that leader that's really helping people grow, right? So I don't want to just get them on my system. Like I want to then show them how they can run Facebook ad campaigns and Google campaigns and, and all this type of stuff. Then that would be the plan that you would work with them to lay out and essentially sell your additional services once you've got them set up on the core system. Okay, but remember, this is cherry on top. Okay, this is 80% of our revenue, 90% of our revenue. This is the cherry on top. If you want to offer that, you don't have to offer that. Okay, and then Kanai, Tony Robbins' phrase, well, that's where I learned it from, constant and never-ending improvement, right? It's a philosophy that, we should all be living by in our businesses and in our lives. How can we improve, right? And selling them the value of them being on this system long-term, because you are constantly working to improve the system. As new technology comes and is available to small businesses, we're incorporating that into our system. As best practices in lead generation and marketing are being proven in the marketplace, we're incorporating that into our system. So you're constantly improving your system over time. So that monthly fee that they're paying for you, they're like, man, this thing gets better and better every month. Just like with Highlevel, right? You're paying your monthly fee to Highlevel, and Highlevel rolls out these new features every month where you're like, wow, now I got all this other stuff I can do, and I'm still just paying my same monthly fee. This is incredible. That's the way you want your customers to feel, right? I signed up for this system. I've got access to this amazing marketing system, and wow, now I can post reels through it too. I couldn't do that at first. Now I can post reels to it. Now I can set up customized dashboards for my business. I couldn't do that before. The beautiful thing is that that gets baked in pretty much automatically just by being associated with Highlevel, right? Highlevel is constantly rolling out new features that you can then pass along to your customers to continue adding value to them. So this is the roadmap that you are taking your customers on. You're leading them through. Here's how we're going to get these holes filled for you in your marketing systems and put you onto our super duper marketing system so that you will now be achieving your marketing goals and building your business. Okay, so that's the roadmap. Now, last piece of the puzzle is that signature system. That is the thing that you create, right? The super duper marketing system. So that is where, to get into that, I'm now introducing the R6 framework. That's right. It was the R4. Now it is the R6. What a major innovation, right? Well, the good news is we don't need to change what we're doing too much. But what I have found is that over time, with my conversations in selling this concept of systems and that type of thing, that there were some gaps in the R4 where I was having to do a little bit too much, a little too much fast talking based on my experience, right? And I could do that because of my experience, but I realized it was a gap for too many people in my community that were trying to understand, yeah, but Mike, how do I tie this R4 to the systems delivery that you're talking about? And so what I've been working on is, okay, how do I take this concept, but make it, Gay says, I can't wait till the R8 is available. How do I make it so that it flows all the way from that initial framework, that pyramid, all the way through how we're going to deliver these specific services in Highlevel. Okay. And so that's what I have been working on here. And that's what I'm going to introduce to you today. And and I should say, as I've always said with my R4 as well, it's not that you have to use it exactly as I'm laying it out here. You can customize some language, you could remove some things, add some things, whatever works for you. But I want to get you as close to a complete system design and the tools that go along with that and the conversations and the scripts and the marketing and all that stuff so that you can just take my approach out of the box and just run it. Okay. Then again, if you decide that there's tweaks and tunes to it that you want to make, then fantastic. That means that you are evolving your business and I'm all for it, right? You're making your business unique, which is what the signature system is all about. You want to get unique. So you guys are the first to hear it though. Thank you for being here for the big unveiling. So you will see here that my R4 has grown to an R6. Okay. And you'll see why here, but reliability, reputation, readiness, resell, remarket, and reach. Okay, so some of those words in there are already familiar to you from the R4, some of them new. What the heck is reliability? Reliability is ultimately the driver of that small business's success, right? And that is, how reliably do they deliver the experience that the customer is looking for, right? So if you walk into the restaurant and one day it's the best burrito in the world and the next day it's cold and it's got, hair in it, that was a very unreliable experience. And, the bathrooms are disgusting and dirty and, the person behind the counter yelled at you. Very unreliable experiences. That is ultimately the first initial driver then of reputation, right? That makes sense. Okay. The important part about having this in the framework for me is that in our conversations with our prospects, they have got to take ownership of that. This is one of the most important factors in determining whether or not you're working with a qualified prospect or not, is do they have the mindset to understand, hey, your marketing isn't magic. I've got to make sure that I've trained my team, that we're putting together the best damn burritos, that the food is hot, that the people are wearing their hairnets, and the bathrooms get cleaned every 30 minutes. Because if we don't do that, Mike and his fancy pants marketing system is not going to save my butt, right? You have to have that conversation with prospects, because we all know that there are so many small businesses out there that as soon as you sit down and talk to them about marketing, they go, well, I tried Groupon and Groupon didn't work. I hired an SEO firm a year ago and they screwed me. They, whatever, right? And then you look at their business and you go, there might be some other factors involved here, right? Maybe Groupon sent you 1,000 new customers that now realize they don't want to come back because the experience sucked. So one of the most important things that you can do is measure that mindset when you're talking to a prospect. This gives you a deliberate conversation around that, okay? And makes it a part of your conversation explicitly so that you can determine, is that a prospect that you even want to be working with? Because the most profitable decision you will make in your business is to say no to the wrong prospect. In a service business, okay, you're not just selling a damn widget off of a shelf and then never interacting with that customer again. You are selling a long-term relationship. And if that prospect is not somebody that you want to be in a long-term relationship with, the sooner you find that out and get rid of them, the better your business will be, the easier your business will be, and the more profitable your business will be. Because pain in the neck customers are always the least profitable ones. Okay? So that's the base of the pyramid. Then there's reputation, which we know. Readiness. This is critical and is such a great sales point for the capabilities that you can deliver with Highlevel. And that's why I wanted to bake this in there. Okay. How responsive are you to opportunities from prospects and customers? How ready are you as a business? And this is a great one, again, to have a conversation around, because right now in particular, and this is always true, but right now in particular, businesses feel so stretched thin by the fact that they can't find quality people, that people won't take jobs, they won't stick with jobs. And so therefore, I can't pick up the damn phone on time. I can't respond to all those messages in social media, right? I can't do this stuff. I don't have time. That's readiness. And the great thing, again, about Highlevel is that we can really help them with their readiness through things like missed call text back and the agents and things like that. Okay, resell, we already know. Remarket, we already know. And reach, we already know. Okay, so just the two additions, reliability and readiness, into this framework. Okay, now that also allows us to do, and this is a really nice addition to the framework in terms of the conversations that we're having with our prospects. Okay, most small businesses that you talk to have no formal education in marketing at all. They're not going to webinars, buying courses and things like that like you are. They know how to make pizzas. They know how to sell real estate, whatever, or they think they know how to do those things. And so they got into business and they don't know marketing. So if you can simplify, hey, here's what marketing is, and here's the keys to success to making it work. That, again, puts you in that position of a leader, of a guide that is sharing with them key insights. So I have boiled this down to, you've all seen this simplified version of these major phases of marketing: attract, convert, and retain. That's what we've got to do. We've got to attract new people, we've got to convert them into customers, and we've got to keep them. Okay? That's marketing, right? That's our simplified version of what we're saying marketing is when we're speaking to our customers. Now you will see the keys to success. You will recognize the 6 R's down here. Okay? Attract is about reach and about reputation, right? How many people are you reaching and what is your reputation? That will determine how many people you attract. Conversion is about readiness and remarketing, right? How responsive are you when those leads come in the door? We talked about speed to lead earlier, right? And then are you staying in front of them? And you will see that I chose to use the word here remarketing now instead of retargeting, because remarketing, and did I do that here? Yes, okay. Because remarketing is a broader term. It's not just retargeting with ads. Remarketing, I mean like follow-up campaigns, newsletters, things like that. We're staying in front of our prospects and customers over time. And then to retain them, that is about reliability. And I put that in bold, right? That's your job, Mr. Customer, is to make sure you're delivering a great product and a great experience and reselling. So now we have these keys to success to make each of these phases work. And you and I both know, gosh, Mike, marketing can be way more complex than this. Yes, it can be, but we're dealing with small businesses. We want to keep this stuff simple. We want to keep it memorable, and we want it to just trigger that light bulb moment. Okay. So now we want to tie these keys to success to our service delivery, right? We say, well, if these are the keys to success, we then want to have the systems in place to be able to optimize each of those keys to success. Okay. And that is then where we start getting into the specifics of the system. Okay. Reliability is number one. That's their job, delivering a reliable product and service experience. Reputation. What are all of the key marketing functions and systems that support successful execution on the reputation front? Your website, your social content, your SEO, your citations, your reviews, referrals, ads, lead magnets. All of these things contribute to reputation. Okay, this is the content that's out there about you, whether it's your content or somebody else's content. Does your website look like a website that was built 20 years ago or not? Does it load? Can I pull it up on my phone? Can I get the information that I want from it easily? All these things contribute to reputation. Readiness. Do you pick up the phone? What happens when you don't pick up the phone? How do people know that you are still there? Did you respond to them? Are they leaving voicemails? Is somebody responding to those voicemails? Do you have a missed call text back? Can people opt in on your website? Can they chat with you on your website? Are there follow-up campaigns in place to make sure that you are converting as many of them as possible, following up with them and giving them the attention that they need, right? Is there a calendar so they can easily book an appointment with you on your website? It drives me crazy now when I deal with a business that's a calendar-based business and they don't have a web-based calendar and I have to call them and I don't know if they're actually going to answer the phone and stuff like that. It drives me nuts. I don't know about you guys, but anyway, they have a web-based calendar. Can you accept payments? Are you ready to accept payments? Right? It is remarkable how many small businesses are suffering in cash flow simply because they have really no means of collecting payment. It's brutal, right? They haven't set up with any tap to pay. They don't have any online invoicing and that stuff. They're still relying on just old school payment methods, right? Proposals, invoicing. Are you ready to get business? Okay. I love it. Thank you for saying so. I love it. So excited about this new framework. Great. So next, resell. Funnels, workflows, payments, proposals, community, loyalty campaigns, birthday campaigns, anniversary campaigns, resell campaigns, reactivation campaigns, referral campaigns, reminder campaigns, rescue campaigns. All kinds of incredible things that we can put in place here for resell. Remarketing, newsletters, SMS, retargeting ads, social content. And there's more that you could add to this. Okay. And then reach. ads, funnels, social content, lead magnets, blog content, birthday campaigns. Definitely put SEO in here, right? So, what do you notice about all of these things that I have listed out here? What do you notice about all of these things that I have listed out here? Oh, awesome. Elenia, I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. So, what do you notice? Yes, Mike. Thank you. And as more and more capabilities come into Highlevel, you'll be able to add more of them to this list if you want to. Okay. And I want to make that perfectly clear. You may look at this and go, Mike, my eyes are going cross eyed. That's a lot of stuff, man. I'm not saying that you have to. I am saying I personally think that you should be prepared to offer almost all of this because Mike hits it on the head right here. Because once you get your head wrapped around this, once you get a little more comfortable, I understand some of you are newer to Highlevel, some of you are newer to marketing. And so when you look at this list, you go, oh my gosh, that's so much stuff. The reality is almost all of this is you just set it once, a good old Rompo peel, just set it and forget it. Okay. Sure. Does it take you more time to set it for a website than it does setting up the web chat? Yes, of course. So some of these things are going to have more, of that initial setup. But if you go back to my magic journey, remember the surge? The surge is where we get paid up front to do the setup. Because, hey, Mr. Customer, you really need a new website. So we've got to do some upfront work here to get you a new website. Okay. But once you get that, and I'm going to help you with that, but once you get that, this is why when I said earlier, I'm totally comfortable if you said, hey, Mike, you got to set up a dentist today and a roofer tomorrow. I go, okay, because here's what I got to set up. Here are the things I'm going to set up. I know that most of them are already done in Highlevel or very close. I've got to do some customization of them, but they're really stinking close. And then there's these other things that I'm going to use snapshots for to fill in the blanks. That's the assets that I'm adding on top of Highlevel. So all these campaigns and stuff like that, those are all assets that I create with workflows and content built into Highlevel to use the tools to accomplish these specific resale functions. Okay. I know that I can set up a birthday lead generation campaign and I've got the ads for it. I've got the landing pages for it. I've got the follow-up workflows to go with it. I've got all that stuff already set up in a snapshot. So I can include that in here. And if you are niche focused, this will become really easy because you're going to set up the snapshot once and then you're just going to improve that single snapshot over and over again. You're just going to get a little bit better instead of reinventing the wheel each time that you bring on a new customer. Okay. But this is all done in Highlevel. It can all be done through snapshots with minor exceptions. Okay. There are some things in here that are more ongoing work. So like if you're creating social content every month for your customer, there's more ongoing work there. And yes, there's all kinds of ways that you can, create a year's worth of social content in advance and just plug it all in. So there's answers to all of this if you want to, get really nitpicky about it. But let's just say, okay, getting a newsletter out the door each month, I'm actually going to create some content for that newsletter, right? So there's a little bit more ongoing work. And again, that's where you decide, am I doing the work of the newsletter for the customers, or am I just setting up with a pretty newsletter template and just saying, great, you've got a newsletter now. Now you just need to put in some content and send it out every month. That's for you to decide. Okay. In my case, I actually just did the newsletters for my customers because it was so easy for us to scale that up and do it for hundreds of customers. It's no problem. And the perceived value of that was huge. Okay. It felt to them like we were saving them, and we were saving them like 10 hours of work of them having to put together a newsletter every month. We would just do it for them. And it would take us 10 hours total for all, hundreds of our customers. So you can decide where you want to add that extra layer of activities. Remember at the top of the pyramid, above the assets, there's that activities up there. You decide what you want to have in your mix. Going back to the conversation that we were having with, who was that? Anyway, where, we were talking about how, hey, I just got beat in the marketplace. Oh yeah, here we go. Where it's like, okay, I need to decide exactly what I want to offer to be able to compete. Okay, that's up to you to decide. But now you have a framework where you can lead somebody from that initial sales conversation, explaining to them the concepts of systems, to then explaining to them marketing and how those systems play a key role in the success, these critical success factors of each of the 6 steps. Each of the 3 phases of marketing. And then here is exactly on a tactical level what we set up to make sure we're optimizing for each of those success factors. Okay? All part of Highlevel. And this is why Highlevel is so badass. Okay? So, Ed asked earlier about the service design package. So, document. So, what I want to highlight to you, because this is one of the major breakthroughs that I had with Highlevel that I wanted to make sure that everybody gets. Okay. And that is, and this is a super important point. This is great and it's a lot. However, how do you reconcile all this with the original concept of less and more, and that a confused mind doesn't buy? How do you present this without overwhelming? Okay. That is an excellent question. So I think what my experience is with this, Mike, and that's why I think it's so important that you get back to this package design sheet and we go through how to structure your packages. Because if you get into a package presentation where you are doing some complicated presentation of, well, if you sign up for this, you get these things, but you don't get these things. If you sign up for this, you get these things, but you don't get these things. Then it does get confusing and it gets challenging. And you're missing potentially tremendous opportunity to add a ton of value to your customers, because you want to give them all the things that will add value, right? So here's what I recommend that everybody considers. And there's, variations of this that you can work with, but this is going back to the original R4, so I will update this. But again, what I did here was for each of these key factors, here are the key things in Highlevel that will deliver. So for reputation, website UX, review management, web chat, it's called text back, yada, yada. For resell, all these campaigns, right? For reach, all of these things. And then for retargeting, these things, okay? So again, I will update this for the R6 that's coming here. Like I said, we've got a bunch of follow through that we're doing here over the next month. But if you were to generally say, these are the things that are coming with each, I could sell those according to each of the R's. So this is the way that I've done this in the past, and some other people have done this, where you're essentially selling it somewhat based on the R's, right? So this is all reputation and resell. This is then acceleration of your business. Now that you've got the foundation in place of reputation and resell, now we can accelerate the business by doing more of the reach stuff. Okay, but this is all organic reach stuff, right? Social posting, things like that. And then if you're ready to dominate, then we could add paid reach stuff, right? So when you're really ready to go for it and put more budget to it. So this is a way that you could break up these features and sell them that way. And it makes a lot of sense. This whole foundation, acceleration, domination thing, the language of it and everything has really worked for me and worked for a bunch of others. So you could absolutely still do it this way. Okay. What I encourage everybody to consider is that you just take this super simple approach of loading up the customer account. And again, this is referencing back to the R4. But what I said is, hey, just put everything in there and then just charge them based on usage. Okay, just load up the plan and then just charge them based on usage. So in other words, what you can say is, hey, all of our customers get the complete turnkey system, and then you're just paying us based on usage. So if you have 1 to 3 team members, you're paying in this price range. If you have 3 to 10, you're paying in this price range. If you have 10 plus, you're paying in this price range. Or you're using more than 3,000 SMS and 30,000 emails, whatever. You can use credits to determine usage as well. Because in Highlevel, you can sell and manage their account based on, and their billing based on usage. You can set up a usage-based model instead of making it so much a features-based model. So again, if you were to go back to our presentation and you were to say, all of our customers get all of these capabilities, okay, except for obviously things that would cost you extra. So like paid ads, you give them the ads of your system. So like, let's say you have UpHex and you want to make that a part of your system. We give you our proven ads, our proven campaigns, and then you determine the budget you want to put to those, Mr. Customer. If you want to spend $500 a month on ads, or $750 or $1,000 or whatever it is, or $10 this month, you can spend whatever you want, but you're going to get access to all of our best practice ads and campaigns. So you can determine what budget you want to put into it. And some customers won't put any budget. Some will put a bunch of budget, but you're giving them the system. Okay. So you could turn all of this on for them. So again, just keeping this simple. If you had all of this set up in a snapshot, you would just drop in the same snapshot for every customer. You would obviously customize the things that need to be customized, but you would drop all of this in for every customer, and then they would have a price point that was dependent on the size of their business and how much usage they were going to have at their business. This is the way, if you look at like ConvertKit, businesses like that, they've transitioned their model to a usage-based model. Yes, there is some distinction of features, for some of the advanced features, but primarily it's just a usage-based model now. They just say, hey, look, sign up, you get to use our system. If you have less than 1,000 contacts, it's free. If you have 1,000 to 10,000 contacts, it's X amount. If you have 10,000 or more, it's X amount, and you get access to all these amazing features. That's a super simple way to sell this, Mike. So when you're asking earlier, like, what's the kind of easy button? The easy button is that you just deliver the whole damn thing. We have created this system. So yes, this system has lots of features and bells and whistles, but what you're not making them do is decide between which bells and whistles do you want and are you willing to pay for, Mr. Customer. Instead, you're just saying you get the system, right? You're going to get the system. All of our customers get the system. How much you pay for that system is based on usage, which just makes sense, right? Because obviously, if I'm using it more, if I'm sending a lot more email, if I'm doing a lot more SMS, if I have a lot more people on the system, it makes sense that I would pay more than somebody who isn't. So that just keeps it simple. And then on the service delivery side, Mike, the way that we keep it simple is through snapshots, right? It's putting together the snapshot that has all of these capabilities in it so that then you just go through and customize those capabilities for the customer. Okay. And it's super powerful because what you realize, gang, is that you are turning on a complete business marketing and growth system for these businesses. You are literally transforming them from, I mean, gosh, go just sit down with any small business. They don't have any lead capture. They don't have any automated follow-up campaigns. They don't know how many messages they got from prospects and customers in the last week. They don't have tracking of their pipeline. They don't have any metrics associated with it. They don't have, book here on my calendar with automatic reminders and missed appointment follow-up and all that. They don't have any of that stuff. Or maybe they have one of those things they were sold on, you should do reviews. And so they got a review thing, and that's an awesome system. It's super important, but it's one piece of a puzzle. You can literally transform their business. And once they are in there using that, how hard is that to get away from? It's impossible to get away from that. Like, they have to make a really, really serious decision for their business to go, yep, you know what? I'm going to pull myself out of all of that and then move to a different provider, or just cancel it. Just stop doing it in my business. It's not worth it to have all this stuff in place for my business. Just cancel it. That's crazy, right? Those businesses have to literally be crazy to attempt that. So we go back to our goal. Remember, our goal is to get them on the system, paying recurring revenue, and hooked in there because they're using it and they're getting all the value out of it. This is the best way to just hit them with that value and get them hooked. And it's really just not that damn hard, honestly, once you get used to it. Now, again, I'm not saying that you have to do all that. You can decide, I'm going to limit some of these things. I don't want to, maybe in such and such industry you're selling to, certain parts of those systems aren't a big deal. And you want to, you don't want to bother with them. Then don't bother with them. Okay? Nothing is set in stone. Okay? Think about telling potential customers that we only schedule one surge per week to create scarcity and a sense of urgency. AT, I don't think that's bad at all. We did that for years with my IT services business in particular. We did that for years. We got to the point where we would take on like 5 or 6 new customers a month. And then after that, we'd tell prospects that are in our funnel, we'd say, hey, look, just want to let you know we only take on 5 new customers a month. We've already signed 3. So totally understand. But I just want to let you know that if you don't get signed up by this date, then you have to get onboarding pushed by a month. And it creates that urgency for sure. And it was just real. Like, we want to make sure that we did a really good job for each of our customers on that onboarding because we knew the onboarding was critical to them sticking. Okay. Do you suggest an entry price point into our system of $297 or $497? Either one can work, AT. It really depends on who you're selling to. I mean, $297 is a nice low price point that essentially any small business that has any revenue at all can afford. So, I mean, it's a nice price point. And honestly, again, going back to our philosophy of making our sales process fast, low price points with small businesses are nice. They're real nice because they get them moving. Okay. The key is then that you just have the boundaries around it from the credits and team members, which again, in the surge in the SaaS capabilities of Highlevel, if you're on Pro, okay, you can automatically measure these things and have the billing adjusted based on if they go over these things. So if a customer, adds a 4th team member, they would get bumped up to the new billing plan. So this can be managed automatically using Highlevel SaaS capabilities, which is awesome. Okay. What platforms would you put a newsletter today, similar to what you did back then? I would just do it in Highlevel, Jonathan. Just a good old email newsletter in Highlevel. If I'm understanding the question right, yeah, I mean, A.T. Williams, if you were offering all of what Mike is talking about, I would recommend $697, says Zach. I would disagree with Zach unless you have a thought out approach to that in terms of, again, credits and usage. How many people are using the system? Not that $697 is a bad price point. I'm just saying that I wouldn't base it on the features. Okay. I would base it on also on the usage. Okay. It's going to make it easier to sell a lot more small businesses if you can give them all the features and just put boundaries on the usage. Okay. Might be missing the obvious, but what Go Highlevel products would you think that would fulfill the new R1 reliability? No, you're not missing it. That's not Highlevel's job, and that's not your job. Reliability is your customer's job. Okay. If you're selling to the burrito shop, reliability is the burrito shop's job. They've got to make the good burritos. They've got to make sure the bathrooms are clean. They've got to make sure the people are trained to smile when they take the order. That's the burrito business's job. Okay, not yours. Okay. I have read that you can lose 30% of sales just by offering a second choice. Would you recommend offering one package to purchase, then an upsell offer after initial purchase? Mike, I mean, I'm sure that there are scenarios where that is true. I have not. I don't believe that that is the case in this business. Okay. My experience, and the reason I always offer 3 packages, always. And the reason why I do that is what I have found is that when you offer 3 choices, it allows people to fall into their comfort zone. Right? There are people out there that if you offer a basic, pro, and premium, they will always choose the basic first because they think anything else is just marketing and you're probably trying to rip me off. So just give me the basic. I don't need any of that fancy stuff. If you sell a basic, pro, and premium, there are some that will always buy the premium because they're the people that always want the best things. Give me all the best things. Price is no object. And then the majority of people fall in the middle. And so that's actually a price anchoring technique, Mike, that has also been proven with statistics that if you give people those choices, human nature, they will fall into the middle, the majority of them, and a percentage will go here and a percentage will go here. So giving people choices smartly can actually be a psychologically very influential way to move people to the package that you want them to have by understanding that psychology. Now, Mike, if you are offering a foot in the door because you are trying to speed up your sales cycle as fast as possible by selling a thing, then yes, the entire point of that foot in the door is to just acquire the customer as fast and cheap as possible. So then, yes, closing that deal and getting them in as a customer, and then saying, after you have them as a customer, we'd like to introduce you to our other services, is much better than not closing them and trying to upsell before you close them on the first deal. Okay. What dictates the range? For example, $297 to $497. That's just very, very common price points in the small business universe that have been proven to work. There's all kinds of data out there that you can find on price points that are the stickiest price points with small businesses because small businesses are very price sensitive. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Venture capitalists have funded so many software platforms selling to small businesses and service businesses selling to small businesses that they know the price points that work. And so the price points that I'm sharing with you are proven ranges. And what I've given you there, that $297 to $497, That's just giving you a little bit of flexibility as to how you want to work in that range. Could be depending on the competition that you're selling against. Okay, you may have some competitors in your industry that are super aggressive on price, or you may be selling to high-end law firms that if you price your services too low, they'll think you're just a joke. There's perception value to being higher priced. And then some of you just don't want to sell stuff for lower price. You're just like, no, I don't want to waste my time. I can sell at $497 just as easily as I can sell at $297. So I'm just going to do $497. Great. I'm just giving you some ranges to work with there. Okay. Thank you, Paul. I agree. Yes. Is there a tool that integrates with Go Highlevel to help optimize Google business profiles? Well, Yext. Oh yeah. Mike already answered for you. Yep. Yep. Is there a usage-based example of 3 plans were based on reputation resell? Yes, but in theory, that could include all elements. Yes, exactly. Such and so that's what I was saying is that's from my original framework. And if you're not a customer of mine before this boot camp, you may not be familiar with my original R4. So yes, that document that I was showing you was tied to my original R4, and I will update a version of that to show you with the R6. Yes, I will be. Yes, absolutely. There will be an R6 snapshot soon. Yes. Yeah, didn't you have bundle prices at one point in your company? That's $297, $497, but if you bought, you got a discount? Yes. Yes, that's exactly right, Jeff. That was not a usage-based thing because at the time I did not have a way of measuring usage. So I did it like this. Oop, hold on. I did it like this, Jeff. Where was it? Yeah, this right here. Foundation, acceleration, domination, 297. No, well, no, that's not the right one to show you either. Hold on. Yeah, I don't really have it in here, Jeff. Sorry, but yeah, the way that I did it was that you could get 1 and you'd get the reputation resell, you get 2, you'd get the reach, you could get 3, you get the reputation, the reach, and the retargeting, and it would all be at a discount. So yes, that was the way I did it in the past, and that would still work. That could still work for sure. That's just not the way that I think is the best. I think it will work just fine as well. Okay, so I'm trying my best to keep it simple here, but yes, you could do that as well. Okay, how much do you need a foot in the door with prices so low? Erica, the foot in the door to me is marketing. It's just marketing. Okay, if you put together a really strong foot in the door that's got a really attractive price point and all that stuff, it's a great marketing vehicle. It just gives you something to shout about in the marketplace and to get attention and to get things moving. Because if you're out there marketing, let's say you're following my game plan and you're out there marketing using the E-Myth and you're talking about systems and all that stuff, it's a powerful concept. But like Dorn said earlier, he had to read the book 4 times. Like it can take a while for people to get that. It's a little bit slower marketing. It's a little bit more nurture marketing, right? Versus free website. All you have to do is pay $97 a month for hosting, right? That's like a laser shot in between the eyes. Boom. Whoa, free website. What the heck are you talking about? That's badass. So it gets things moving, right? And so it's less about just the price points being so low, even though because your core package, that price point is super competitive. It's more about the value proposition being super clear and marketable. Okay. I just joined the HLA. Should I wait for the update or just move forward? No, just move forward, Alex. Absolutely. So I must have missed it. Does usage add up and overall most profitable? It's just so Ed, you control the markup on the usage in the system. So you can determine how you're marking up email, SMS, phone calls, and everything in the system. You can determine if you want 2-time markup, 5-time markup, 7 times markup. So that's completely under your control. I'm just suggesting that you use the volume of it. So 1,000 credits versus 5,000 credits, just as a way to move people from price point to price point. Just it's a nice, easy, understandable way to go. Now you're at this package level. You got 5,000 minutes. That's $697, right? So it's just a marketing way of moving them from package to package. Okay. No, I do not sell the snapshot independently at this point. It will be part of my high leverage agency and part of my R4 system. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Awesome. Look, we are 2.5 hours into it at this point. I want to be respectful of your time because we've got tomorrow's session as well. It looks like we made some breakthroughs here in terms of people understanding this framework and how we can apply this framework to help us create our packages and our systems. We will be getting into much more detail on that tomorrow. Okay. And we will be getting into, okay, great. How do we set all this up in a snapshot and, turn this on for customers and all that good stuff. Okay. So we will be covering that tomorrow. So please, any questions that you have, let's hang on to them to tomorrow. You can ask them in the community overnight as well. And then we will get into it tomorrow. Okay. Homework, good question. I would say homework is just to review, make sure that you understand these concepts and that you have any questions ready to go for tomorrow. Okay. Erica says, to clarify, you think the best way is 297 plus usage? Erica, I hesitate just to say the best way because I don't know who you're selling to and all that type of stuff. I think it is a great way that applies really well in almost every situation. How's that? Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. I know. I wish we could do it tomorrow. I promise. Thank you. Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for being a part of Bootcamp. We will see you on tomorrow's call. Okay. Have a great rest of your day and a great night. Yes, David, there's going to be the R6 snapshot. Yes, sir. Okay. And we will see you on tomorrow's call. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great one. We'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.